Hey everyone, and welcome to the D&D Vlogs, the Emerald Vanguard, episode 11, I believe. Checkmate. Basically, really quick, just to establish everything. This is the final episode of the Emerald Vanguard campaign, because we're wrapping it up, because Connor is going to be moving soon, for positive reasons. Basically, he's he's been in a relationship for some time. And he's moving closer to, he's moving closer to his girlfriend. So we're just wrapping it up for that. Yeah. I got a lot of stuff to go through in here, so hopefully I can do this quickly enough. Because basically every 30 minutes, my camera turns off if I don't do anything with it. So yeah, I've got about roughly 30 minutes to do all this stuff. So, quick recap of the end of episode 10. Basically, we left the Vault of Calanestro, finding no weapons. The Black King had also been there. And we, basically just made our way back to Esteria to try and regroup, figure out what was going on, see if there were any other clues, so that we could either stop the Black King from getting weapons or get the weapons ourselves, so we could stand a better chance. And, well, good news. We don't really have to do that anymore. Bad news, the Black King has decided, screw it. I'm just going to level this entire land because I'm mad. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So, our final mission is to stop the Black King, the final two general, and his final two generals from destroying the entire land. And basically his plan to do this is accessing, wells of power, fountains of power, whatever. Basically, hey, here's like where magic seems to come up, out of the earth, like geysers or whatever. And like if you, I don't know, cast some sort of destructive spell into it, it could have very negative effects on the land. Conveniently, there are 3 spaces for these things. I'm taking shots at all the writing that I put into this because, yeah. But to be fair, it's, I wanted to do something to wrap up this story. I love the campaign, Connor. It's been fun. It's been crazy. It's been interesting. I love everyone that I've gotten to adventure with. And I didn't want to just leave it on, oh, hey, like, we didn't have anything to go on. So I did talk to Connor. I did get his approval for my writing for this. Again, this is not Connor's canonical ending for the saga. But it's a nice enough ending that will work, I hope. But yeah, so basically we gotta stop them from destroying, these 3 founts, wells of power, whatever the heck you want to call them. It's just that cliche of like, oh hey, if we hit this building at this point, and this point, it will go down. I've watched too many movies and stuff. Just let me have this. So anyway, but also, second negative thing about this is we have to split up in order to, stop at least 2 at the same time. Because, like, oh, hey, you take out the fountain in the east, the fountain in the west, they might go, oh, crap, dude, we gotta take this thing down now, otherwise they're gonna come in and stop us. So, yeah. And, yes, while there are 3, like, if you take out the 2 on the edges, at the least, you're saving most of the land. Unfortunately, where the 3rd fount of power is basically under the castle. So, yeah, it would suck a lot to lose that, but saving most of the kingdom is something. So anyway, how are we going to stop, 2 things at once? Well, we're going to split the party first off. And really quick, I'm just going to go up into the character divisions here. We've got Goku, L, and Lil going to, let's just say the one in the west. Just arbitrarily, whatever. And we have Toby, Burgle, and the NPC Paladin Lucius going to the one in the east. Basically, I just did these character divisions, kind of trying to balance the parties out. But also, like, obviously Toby and Burgle, they have their good relationship. L and Goku have their good relationship. Lil, also has a good relationship with the 2 of them, obviously. And, Lucius is a paladin, so it kind of helps balance out the parties. 2 paladins, 2 casters, L and myself. and 2 tanks, which would be Goku and Toby, respectively. So, yeah. Sorry. The 2 tanks would be Toby and Lil, respectively. But, yeah. And really quick, I have a few just random small bit scenes, that just crop up throughout this thing. So I'll try and put, like, scene, so we know what's going on here. We meet up with the commander and the queen, at the battle camp outside of the kingdom, because stuff's going down. Or in the kingdom, whatever, I don't know exactly. But my point is, we meet up with them and we have these little scenes. The first scene, is just, oh hey, we're getting ready. And, the queen and, Burgle's lady friend Michelle, check up on Toby and Burgle before they set out. First, the queen checks in with Toby, like, because they have their nice little romantic relationship, I would have her say to him, as your queen, I order you to return safely with your friend in tow. And Toby, he's been the fun-loving, crazy bard guy, but he takes this actually very seriously. He's like, of course. And, they embrace, they hug tightly. So, I mean, they care for each other. And, yeah. Meanwhile, Michelle's, looking over Burgle, helping him adjust his armor, making sure he's got all of his instruments properly secured, everything like that, and she says to him, be careful out there and stay behind Toby. You're better off not on the front lines, and I swear if you die before I can marry you, I'll kill you myself. And Burgle's just shocked because he's like, oh, what? And, Michelle just, nicely just smoothing down his, cloak, shirt, whatever. I've decided that I will have you as my husband. And, big kiss moment, just, mwah. And Burgle's still a bit shocked, but he agrees. They've had their ups and downs. They've had their fun times, and he really likes Michelle. She's a nice character. I didn't get to develop her as much, but that's whatever. Let's just say they have a nice relationship. Let me have this in my little story about my cool gnome bard guy. And, yeah, I gotta move on. And then, after that little conversation, Michelle walks over to Toby, and gives him a pep talk as well. If you let anything happen to him, I would not suggest returning. And really quick, I took that from the Wheel of Time. I forget exactly when it was, but one of the main characters, Lan, tells one of the other characters, hey, if you don't bring, Nianvi, basically the woman he would ultimately marry, back, then I would suggest just drowning yourself in Tyr, okay? Tyr, which is the city. Yeah, I just appreciate that bit so much. It was great. Because Julian, the thief catcher, explained it to Nianvi, whenever he was explaining why he was coming along. It was a funny bit. And yeah. And again, Toby, takes this quite seriously. He puts a hand on her shoulder, looks her dead in the eye, like, I love him just as much as you do. Like, I will protect him. Again, like, Burgle and Toby have that good relationship. Brothers in arms, but also, I would kind of say, like, Toby wants more. Burgle's not exactly like he can't 100% give what Toby's looking for, but I'll address that in the end, hopefully. And then, really quick, just one last thing, the team gathers up, and, Burgle, talking to everyone, okay, like, obviously this is going to be one of our toughest fights yet, and we're going to need all the luck that we can get, so, Toby, does Bardic Inspiration for everybody, and Burgle casts Death Ward. Basically, at this point, just an untested spell for him that he worked on. That basically, oh hey, your health drops to 0. Really, you come back to 1 life, so you don't fall unconscious. 1 hit point, so you don't fall unconscious. It's kind of a nice thing, and I want to work it in because it's a good thing. But yeah, And then, you know, we all do the hands-in thing. You know, we say Vanguard. Oh, again, I've seen a lot of movies. It works. Yeah, so, you know, we set out via magic portals for this. You know, like, oh, hey, we'll drop you off near the mining operations that are digging down to the wells of power. And then, let's see, Okay, talked about that. So let's get into the two fights that we have going on. The first fight that I have in my list, which, by the way, 6 pages of notes that I'm working through slowly, is the fight between Pestilence, the, you know, horseman for the Black King, versus Burgle, Toby the Magnificent Armstrong, and our NPC paladin friend Lucius. Basically, you know, I went with this group, like I already explained. You know, it's balanced tank, spellcaster, healer. You know, but also because, you know, a bard's main point in life is to spread happiness and joy and love, and yeah, taking down Pestilence seems a good thing for that. You can make the same argument for Death, the other general, but I'll get to that in a minute. You know, basically on the way to fight Pestilence, Burgle and Toby are separated from Lucius. You know, they hear something like down in the mines, like soldiers coming up to stop them or something like that, and Lucius just looks at them and says, "Go, I've got this." You know, and he rushes off to head them off at the pass, while, you know, Toby and Burgle rush in to face Pestilence. I don't have anything, you know, specifically for the fight. I didn't know the stats. I didn't get to run anything. I'm not going to kind of play anybody's characters. But I do have some, again, just quick scene bits for this. You know, so, like, obviously, Burgle's hanging back because, you know, he's a bit softer of a character. Whereas Toby, you know, Barbarian, you know, he's going to be right in Pestilence's face, just going at him with a fluffy bunny, his great axe. You know, at one point, you know, Toby seems to be on the back foot, you know, and Pestilence is advancing on him, you know, like with his weapon or whatever, and Burgle, you know, nails him in the back with his crossbow, which does radiant damage. It doesn't really affect the situation. I'm just noting it because it was a cool thing, and you know that just really ticks off Pestilence. So, you know, basically he turns back on Burgle and just like force blasts him through like a wall or something, and then, like, you know, some of the stone just falls down, basically trapping him under it. And, you know, that's when Toby just snaps. You know, we've seen this before, during the wedding episode when Gaius attacked. In the 5th or 6th episode, whenever, you know, the Black King was choking the Queen out, like, you know, his friend is under attack, and yeah, it's just on now. And basically, you know, Toby just goes to town on Pestilence. Like, he's really working him over, like hitting him with the fluffy bunny, you know, cranking in a few good shots. But, you know, Pestilence isn't a general for nothing. Like, you know, at a point in this fighting, you know, he is able to, like, you know, avoid some of Toby's shots, because, you know, one of the common cliche things in movies and literature and blah 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 is, oh hey, the angry dude, yeah, he's powerful, but, you know, like, you can use that against him. You know, like, oh hey, he trips, he overextends on a punch. And, well, basically, you know, that happens, knocks the fluffy bunny out of Toby's hands for some reason. I don't know. Something happens. There's like a clash, and he just knocks the blade out of his hand, like, and he just and he looks at him. I'm trying to read the notes without my glasses, because the glare from that would be so much worse. But, yeah. Anyway, you know, he taunts Toby, looking at him and saying, "So, two little bards thought they could take me on. Pestilence." You know, and, you know, I couldn't think of, like, anything good for Toby to say here. You know, Toby's just like, oh man, and, like, obviously, this could be the end of the road, but, you know, what Pestilence says, "So, any last words?" And, you know, Toby just looks at him and grins, because he remembered something very important. I'll explain in a minute. he says, yes, Fluffy Bunny, return. And Pestilence just is thrown off by that, like, wait, what? And, you know, we can just hear it just, whoa, 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 and just, bam, right in his back. Fluffy Bunny just nails him. Because, for those who may or may not remember, one of the enchantments Toby got from Garrus was, you know, for his axe to be able to operate on its own. Kind of like, I just read this in the book the other day. Basically, you know, like a flying sword or scimitar or whatever, like it can act on its own. Within, I think, 60 feet? I forget the exact ruling, but yeah, it was one of those moments. You know, so like, damn, I was so close! And then he, you know, just collapses at Toby's feet. And, you know, turns to ash or light or whatever, and poof. You know, and Toby just falls to his knees, just exhausted. You know, when he hears, you know, just some tiny voice, just, help me. You know, and he just instantly perks back up and he rushes over to where Burgle was, you know, smashed into the wall and the stones have fallen over him, and he's just like, please, please. You know, he's just tossing the rocks aside, and, you know, there's Burgle just under the rocks, just, yeah. And, you know, he picks him up out of the rocks like, Burgle, you're safe, and just, I don't have a good metaphor thing to hug, so I'll just use my book. You know, just, oh God, you're safe, I thought I'd lost you. You know, and I guess a few kisses, because, you know, Toby would. You know, and he's like, wait, how? You were... That should have crushed you. And, you know, the death ward thing. Again, really quick, I'm just going to look at my phone so I know I'm not about to run out of time and my camera turns off. But, yeah, so basically they just have that little moment, you know, before they return to, you know, meet up with everybody else. Basically, I'm going to say, you know, before they were sent out, hey, we're going to give you, you know, a scroll of, you know, return, which will basically return you either to the base or to somewhere within the castle. You know, like maybe one of the guest chambers they can just get in and deal with the Black King. Because let's just say the Black King, you know, has kind of routed the city, like back in episode 5 or 6 when we faced the orcs and everything. Like, they've gotten into the city, they're in the castle, like, we just have to wait and see what happens on, you know, Goku, L, and Lil's side. And really quick, I'm going to stop here just so I can keep recording fresh and I don't have to worry about time. So give me 1 second while I switch over to part 2 of the video. This will probably be 2 or 3 parts. I don't know how long it's going to be, so 1 sec. So, in the second fight, we have the general known as Death going up against Goku the Paladin, L the Goblin Warlock, and Lil Ass-Kicker, the Dex-based Elf Warrior, Fighter, whatever. Fighter. First off, why did I go with this group? Like I believe I said in the first part, but I'll go over it again. You know, obviously, our players, David, Regina, and Marissa, you know, they're all very close. Like, they're close, good friends, obviously, in real life. You know, as we all are, but, like, you know, David and Regina are married, obviously, and, you know, Marissa's basically Regina's best friend, so, like, they're a good, solid team. The balancing works out. I liked it. You know, and also, of course, we have to have Goku save the day, you know, against Death. If you're an anime fan, yeah, you get it. If you're not an anime fan, Goku is basically Superman for anime people. Anime fan, sorry. Legit. I'm an anime fan too. I love Fairy Tail and One Piece. And other things, but I've got a story to do. And also, really quick, I chose for them to fight Death, you know, because he's the other general. But also, you know, it fits. A paladin defeating Death. L, you know, a person from 1,000 years in the past has lost so many people already. Defeating Death, like, you know, it's kind of nice, poetic, whatever you want to say. You know, and like I said, Lil is there because, you know, Regina and Marissa, they're friends in life. They're friends in real life, like, very close. Like, they're a very ride-or-die duo. Like, if they were, you know, if they were part of some wrestling thing, like, they'd be a solid tag team, I would say. Like, for real. Hands down. So anyway, they are go through their teleports to the mines, and basically similarly to the other fights, there's some separation here. Basically, Lil gets separated from Goku and L because Gaius shows up. For those who don't remember Gaius, basically he's a former Emerald Vanguard member who has appeared from time to time to take part in a few things. I know the wedding episode. I believe he was in the last episode briefly. And like this is just a nice little bookend thing because I'm trying to tie up all the loose ends really quick. And basically, he's guarding the door to death and the Well of Power. So like, Lil just looks to Goku and L like, go, I've got this. And there wasn't any like build up, with Lil and Gaius just having issues. It's just I'm trying to give everybody like a significant, fight victory. And I'll probably go over that in the very end, but this is her fight. And really quick, I don't know, Gaius' backstory, Connor, and I just kind of made up some stuff and I threw it in here. But really quick, it's just, Gaius, this dude from 1,000 years ago, who's, who was considered, one of the greatest swordsmen of his time. Like, I have some dialogue here, so let me just read through it. You stand against me, child? I was once the greatest swordsman of the kingdom, my speed unparalleled. Like, and I just made note of that because Lil is a dex-based fighter, so, oh hey, the battle of speed. I don't know, man. And Marissa, like, I know you well enough to where you just be sick of, his smack talk and be like, blah, 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 grandpa. Cut the chat, let's get it on already. I don't have anything specific for this fight besides, oh hey, like, Lil does ultimately win this fight. I'm being nice, with people living, okay? I'm gonna say that, and we'll get to that in a minute, but, yeah. She does win the fight, Gaius falls to the ground, bleeding or stabbed or whatever the heck happens, and he says, thank you, you freed me from death's control, I may now rest in peace. Then, the cool turn to, in his case, because, he used to be a good guy, he'll turn into the light and, ascend, the next plane, heaven, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, moving on to the Goku and L versus Death fight. I don't have any cool specific stuff for this, like, obviously a paladin facing off with Death is a big deal, and L's a warlock, so Eldritch Blast, Eldritch Blast, Eldritch Blast. I'm not trying to make fun, I'm just saying, like, that's all I've got. But, basically the way I imagine it is, like, they've beaten the crap out of him, like, Goku and L just have him pressed up against the wall, and he's just scared, just like, oh, no, wait, please, I'll give you anything you want. And, L just, Goku's, like, got a sword, like, up to his throat like this, and L just walks up to him and says, I want my husband back, you son of a bitch, and just blows his head off with an Eldritch Blast. Because, the General War had unfortunately killed Aragon. But yeah, so, again, nothing dramatic after that. Both groups use their scroll of return to return to the home base, whatever. We'll say home base, and we'll say they sneak into the city because, the forces of Esteria are basically, fighting to get back in, hold the orcs back, or whatever darkness has descended upon Esteria. Okay? And, everyone is given a restore all elixir. Basically, this is my, oh hey, hey, everybody's healed up and fully powered up before the fight. So, it's, basically just a long rest in a bottle. Restores all your health, all your spell slots, and, any of your, like, oh hey, you can only use this once a day things. Poof. You're done. You're good. You're primed for the fight, because this is the big boss. This is the end game, buddy. We gotta do this. You know, but you know, Goku and L, you know, ask Toby and Burgle, you know, where's Lucius? You know, what happened to him? And they unfortunately just have to reveal, you know, we're not sure. We lost him in the mines. He held back a unit of soldiers, allowing us to stop pestilence. You know, and they both just nod solemnly, like, he'll be missed. But yeah, so that basically just leads into, you know, the fight with the Black King himself. Basically, I'd say it goes similarly to how episode 5 or 6 went. You know, we make our way into the castle, into the throne room. And yeah, you know, like I said, this is like episode 5 or 6, but dude, I had to write this quickly. I'm trying to come up with something that just ties everything up in a nice little bow without having to, you know, hijack too much of Connor's story in the world. Like, and again, you know, Connor, I presume you know this, but I'm doing this out of love for your story and everything. So, yeah. And you know, it's our story. You know, it's our story too, and I wanted to do something nice and just pay it off. So we all entered the throne room. You know, we're looking for the Black King because, you know, oh hey, the Well of Power is just off of the throne room. You know, for whatever reason. Again, this is bad writing on my part. I'm sorry. You know, and Lucius is just standing there. You know, apparently. I'm going to go over my notes that Connor explained to me because this is some heavy stuff, and then I'll go into the actual scene itself. Lucius is standing in the throne room. Apparently he was the Black King all along. Wait, I'll explain in a minute. He was an Echo Knight / Warlock, so when we faced the Black King, that was really an echo of Lucius, which was really Leoric, the king from 1,000 years ago. What had happened was, he had summoned the demon Asmodeus, hopefully I can put that in text, into our realm and was cursed to become the Black King. Or his echo was cursed to become the Black King. I don't know, something. But yeah, he broke the demonic curse to awaken the Emerald Vanguard to hopefully right his wrongs, you know, save his soul, repent, whatever you want to say. And really quick, just for a side thing, I'm going to put, you know, what the heck is an Echo Knight? As best I could in text over here because, yeah, like, I'm really bad at speaking, obviously. I couldn't do it justice with verbal words, so, yeah. Hopefully that's scrolled up and passed and everything's good. Because now we're getting into the scene. You know, we break into the room. You know, Elle steps forward. You know, Lucius, you're alive? Wait, where's the Black King? He is here. I am him. This is our final battle, my friends. You see, I was the Black King. Years ago, I had summoned the demon Asmodeus into our realm, and was cursed to become the Black King. It took 1,000 years, but I was able to break the curse, and rouse the Emerald Vanguard in hopes of stopping the Black King. Stopping me. I fear your actions have forced Asmodeus' hand. I can feel the curse coming upon me once more. To save my soul and the kingdom, you will have to kill the Black King. And in doing so, you will kill me as well. You know, the party looked to one another concerned and confused by the revelation. You know, Goku grimly nodding. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. And he bows. Lucius Leoric nods. Thank you, loyal knight. And then suddenly, Lucius just rises into the air, draped in a black aura, crying out in pain as he transforms into the Black King. He lands on his feet, confident, staring us down. So, you know, like, ah! Ah! And just changing, and, yeah. You know, well, if it isn't our heroes, ready for another slaughter, this time I won't leave you alive. Though I will hang your corpses to warn others of what happens to those who stand against me. I had to laugh. You know, and really quick, I can't wait to be a bad guy. It's gonna be fun. I can't think of anything cool for us to say for this part of the fight. You know, I don't have any scenes in mind for this either, except for the very end of the fight. You know, through the power of friendship and yada yada, you know, we've beaten the Black King. You know, the Black King is on the ground near death, and we're about to kill him when suddenly a black portal opens and the king is taken away by a tentacle. Or something that represents Asmodeus. I haven't done my research, okay? You know, we never get to address who or what pulled him away, because we didn't know, well, shit, he just told us it was Asmodeus. Whatever. We don't know what pulled him away, okay? We can assume, but maybe it was somebody else. Anyway, we don't know what pull him away, but at least he's gone, and we have an open ending, just in case, Connor, you want to reuse the Black King, or, you know, come back to this story, or something. Like, use this story as a jumping off point for the next story, or something. I don't know. Also, I think the cool thing that they do at the end of movies, you know, where they put a question mark after the end. Which actually reminds me, really quick. You didn't really think that was the end, did you? I don't know, we still have just a little bit more to go over. Basically, you know, this is kind of the epilogue stuff, you know, the where are they now section. As obviously you all can tell, the party survived, you know, this final fight. Again, this is my writing. I'm being nice. You know, Connor did tell us in the final fight, like, he would go all out. Like, you know, either the Black King, like, he was going to do everything in his power for the Black King to win. You know, he's been nice to us so far because, you know, a number of us are fairly new to the game. We're not used to everything. We're not as up on the game as he and Brett are, to be honest with you. But, you know, he assured us, like, hey, it would be a tough fight. I'm just being the nice DM and going, hey, everybody lived. Everything was nice. You got to have some cool scenes. Yay. But anyway, if this were a movie, after the end, you know, it would cut, you know, the screen would light back up again, you know, showing, you know, a gnome standing in the middle of, like, a lecture hall or something, you know, just talking to a large gathered group of people. And he would say, and that's the story of the Emerald Vanguard. Because of those brave individuals, Esteria and her people were saved, and hopefully you will continue that tradition in their stead. You know, and the crowd just stand up, applauding and cheering, like, you know, the fun, interesting story. You know, though after the applause dies down, they can hear the sound of, you know, someone in the crowd, you know, just, you know, crying, just, just wiping at his eye, you know, wiping at his eyes and such. You know, the woman sitting next to the man, you know, stands up and says, you know, I'm sorry about him. He loves a good story. You know, a woman on the other side of the man, you know, puts a hand on his shoulder to comfort him. You know, and the woman remains standing, just staring down at the gnome for a second. Do you have a question, miss? You know, and the woman just smiles back at him. I do, actually. Do you know what happened to the new Vanguard members after they saved Esteria? And the gnome just chuckled. It has been a few years since that battle, and heroes move on to other things. You know, keeping up with everyone isn't easy. You know, and then another person, you know, somewhere in the crowd just stands up. You know, I can't speak for everyone, but I do know what happens to El, Goku, and Lil. So, you know, so now I can address, where are they now with some of the cast? Lil Ass-Kicker. Lil went on to become a high-ranking member of the Guard, a captain or general or something. Take your pick. You know, known as the quickest blade in the land. Her speed in combat was unmatched, and her reputation spread far and wide. Again, dex-based fighter. I didn't have much to go on. I hope that works for you, Marissa. You know, I think you'd be okay with it. I feel like it. I'm an empath to a degree. I kind of get people sometimes. Sometimes I'm way off. Hopefully I'm right, though. Then the two people sitting next to Lil stand up. Guess who they are? Goku and L. Goku would go on to form a new Emerald Vanguard alongside L. They did eventually marry. I basically just crammed that in because, you know, Aragon and Elle were married before, obviously. You know, the same player character, so, oh, hey, like, and going through all this stuff, you know, kind of bonds them. You know, I'm just putting stuff into characters' heads, but, you know, like, Elle just sees a lot of Aragon in, you know, Goku. And, you know, Goku just genuinely cares for Elle. And it's nice, and it's my little fanfic, and you can't ruin it, so shut up. I'm just having fun here. I'm not seriously upset at you. It is kind of my fanfic, though. So, hey, they got married. What did Elle do? She and Goku would serve the kingdom once more as part of the Emerald Vanguard, while also looking to figure out where the Black King went. You know, again, it leaves it open. You know, maybe they'll find something, maybe they won't. But she'll find her place in the kingdom, and she'll always have her friends beside her to face anything that comes. Next up, we have the Crying Man, who stands up. That would be Toby. And the two ladies beside him were the Queen and Michelle. And I'll get into that in a minute. Trust me, it all makes sense. You know, Toby went on to become personal barge to the Queen from the Long Live the King episode, which was episode 5 or 6, I think. Secretly, he was a bit more. You know, he was her lover, also her guardian. Again, I'm kind of borrowing from Wheel of Time. Basically, the relationship Tom Marilyn had with Morgaze Trakand, the Queen. You know, he was a bard, but he also had to leave the kingdom because, yeah, issues came up. And actually, you know, and anyway, back to Toby's story. He would actually end up stopping, you know, an assassination attempt or two. Because honestly, who would really expect a bard, you know, to be a guardian? But then again, you also have to remember the dude's playing a great axe as an instrument for a number of his performances. So maybe don't mess with him. You know, and then again, this is just putting some more stuff into the ether that's not set in stone, but we'll say it's a potential path. You know, maybe later in life they get married and retire somewhere. You know, it's a nice thing, IDK. Trying to keep things somewhat open for us in case we use these characters for something else. Another important prevalent thing I would say though is that there's some kind of relationship, obviously, with Burgle, as well as the Queen. You know, Michelle and the Queen understand the bond that, you know, Toby and Burgle have. You know, they're bards. They've been adventuring together. And, you know, Toby just seems to be overflowing with love for literally everybody. And Burgle understands that and reciprocates it to a degree. You know, he's not going to do all the crazy stuff that Toby wants to do, but, you know, they can have their nice times together, you know, walking the beach, having nice conversations, etc. It's something, right? I'm giving you at least that. Okay, I'm not going to do all the crazy stuff, but hey, you know, he'll be there and he'll support him always. You know, he'll fill the void that Rick left whenever he passed. A former bard friend. Yeah. And of course, you know, and the gnome leading the lecture, I wonder who this is Burgle. You know, he looks to the crowd, smiles, and says, "I am Burgle Badger Shepin." Basically, after the excitement of saving the kingdom from the Black King and the generals, you know, Burgle wants to have a nice, quiet life with his love, Michelle, the dwarf merchant lady, from the wedding episode. They were eventually married, and Burgle took part in the business, scoring some solid deals. Charisma is, you know, kind of a big thing. You know, eventually they opened an inn/tavern in the kingdom and in Esteria, you know, and still stay in contact with everyone. You know, basically they always meet up at least once a year, you know, just for, hey, how are things going? You know, maybe they get sent out on special missions by the Queen. Who knows? But yeah, so so that's that. You know, after the lecture, everybody goes out, you know, and you know the Emerald Vanguard meets up together again. You know, our group meets up. You know, and Toby just looks to him and says, "See, I told you that was going to be a fun way to tell the story with us in the audience." You know, he picked Burgle up, spinning him around, you know, setting him on his shoulder or something. You know, and You know, Burl just tear in his eye. Just, yes, you were right. Okay, now the end. But, there's just some stuff that I want to say that hopefully doesn't get cut off. Again, really quick, that's my version of the end of this story. That is kind of rushed, you know, because, you know, we had to cut the story short. Connor, again, I loved, you know, this campaign that you built for us. The fact that you helped us out so much with making our characters. And, you know, just how well you did everything. Like, if you keep DMing after this, you definitely have a good style. You have everything figured out. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, Brett, I loved Toby. I hope he gets to, you know, lead a long life, have more fun adventures, do crazy stuff, hook up with whoever the heck he wants to, you know, etc. You know, Goku, L, Lil, you know, like, you were good adventuring companions throughout this entire thing. You were fun, interesting, and, you know, you saved my butt a couple of times. And honestly, you were pretty much the monster trio. I was just a supporting player for you guys. So thank you for that. I'm not sure what else to say at this point. You know, it was a fun ride. I loved it. I hope to start my own campaign at some point. But that's going to be its own separate video. This video is just about, hey, this is the end of the campaign. You know, thank you everyone, and let's move forward. So, you know, Connor, I wish you well. You know, David, Regina, Marissa, you know, obviously I'll see you guys still. You know, we'll hang out, we'll do whatever stuff. I don't know, maybe like a movie day or something, like every week or so, or something, just to keep us, you know, going until I can figure out my campaign, or when you guys can figure out a campaign or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that was the Emerald Vanguard Checkmate. It was Connor's campaign. It was wonderful. It was awesome. It was fun. I would love to do it again. I hope to do my own sometime soon. We'll see if that happens. I've got a lot of stuff I gotta try and balance and figure that out. But that's basically it. So until next time, everyone, have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated, and of course remember, every character has a story to tell. I'm Valiant Bradley James, I'm Bertle Badger Sheppin, and these were the D&D Vlogs. I tried a new closer thing, and yeah, I gotta work on it. Peace.